Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is my vlog, Riverside Life. Please remember that this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. All right, everyone. It's been a while since I've recorded a video. I have been really overloaded. Well, not overloaded, but I've been working on a lot of my projects. And as I remember, I think it was about a month ago that I said that I would record a video to explain a little bit how it is that I came to understand the different symptoms of menopause. And since I just finished my day of work, it's basically since I finished teaching my classes online, I thought that I would use this time being in front of the computer and having basically all my research at my fingertips. I decided to make a video to share with you the type of research that I did. So on that note, here we go. Okay, here's a quick second part to the introduction. I explained in the introduction that here comes the research that I've done so far over time on menopausal symptoms. And I just recorded the first, I just recorded almost 45 minutes, which I didn't think was going to take that long. But anyway, so in noticing that it took me 45 minutes to go through a third of the symptoms, explaining them, and the ones that I actually experienced, that I've actually gone through. So I've only gone through a third of them. So the easiest way to do this is for me to break this video into so that it's not completely too long. So that the easiest way for me is to break it into 3 parts, possibly even 4 parts, considering that it seems that it might be a good idea for me to also share my dietary habit changes. So yeah, that's what it is. So what's coming up, the part that's coming up just in a few seconds is the first part of the video, and I'll probably do an introduction for the other 3 parts. All right, so stay tuned, it's coming up. So this is the first part of the video that I'm making to share with you guys the research that I've done over the past 4 years in trying to understand the different changes that I'm going through with, that I've gone through with perimenopause and menopause. All right. Okay, so here we are. So what I want to talk about today is the research that I began to do about, I would say when I was in premenopause, which was about 4 years ago or so. And the research that I did was simply because my first hint of being in menopause was that my period stopped. So that was my first hint that I was in premenopause. But again, at the time I was going through a situation with my family, and I thought it was just stress that made me skip a period. So it took me a good, I would say the first period that I skipped was in October 2018, I believe. So we're in 2022. Yeah. So in October 2018 was the first period that I skipped, and thinking that it could be due to the stress that I was going through, I guess stress induced, I'm not sure. So because I thought it might be that, I didn't really pay attention to it, but I still kind of kept record of the fact that I had skipped that period. Then came November 20, that would be 2018 again. Yeah. Then came November 2018 and I had my period. So I thought, okay, it was just stress induced. But from that point, for about a year, I skipped, maybe not quite a year, maybe 10 months. I skipped my period. It was every other month instead of being every month. So I skipped my period about I had my period every other month. And that lasted about, I would say it went from October 2018 to before things really drastically changed. It went to, I would say, possibly November, so about a year, November 2019 or so, about that. Yeah, about that. And from that point on, I skipped my period. It went from being every other month to being every 3 months. And every 3 months didn't last very long. It lasted about between 8 and 10 months or so. And then I would say from possibly the spring, I don't remember exactly, but I kept record of all that in my calendar. And from about the spring of 2020 or 2021, the spring of 2021. So from the spring of 2021 to the winter of, no, from the spring of 2020 to the winter of 2021, I had my period, I think, twice. And my big indication that I was probably getting closer and closer to menopause was because my last period, I had my last period in February 2021. Yeah, so 2020, yeah. So I had my last period in February 2021, and that period lasted about 4 days, which is very unusual, I can't say is, but was very unusual for me because I used to have periods. My periods used to last at least 5 days, could go on to 7 or 8 days. So with it lasting about 4 days, and at that time I had a Diva Cup, and I'm not kidding, I took my Diva Cup out 4 times in those 4 days. And when I took it out, there was barely a tablespoon worth of blood in the Diva Cup. So that was 4 days like that. And I apologize right now for those who are watching this video and who might be disgusted by the idea of periods or disgusted by the idea of menopause. You can always, just skip the video and go to another one. It's really not a problem. The reason that I'm talking about this, I guess this progress or this transition that I went through is, instead of writing a book or writing a blog about it, I decided to vlog it, so that if there are any women out there who maybe are going through the same thing, went through the same thing, are about to get into it. And I know from the standpoint of being a woman and having gone through the premenopause and being in menopause, I know that there are so many, and we're going to go through over all the symptoms. I know that there are a lot of symptoms that can make you feel like sometimes you're going crazy, or that you're not sure what's going on. And it's just like a very normal, natural phenomenon that happens to us women. There are symptoms that, to be honest with you, having experienced them for 3 years, there are symptoms that I can tell you, and we will go over them in a few minutes. But there are symptoms that I can tell you, I do not wish this on anybody. I don't wish this on anyone. But I know that all women go through it. And from my understanding so far of having talked to different women who are in menopause, and having watched videos of other women who vlog, having watched vlogs of videos from other women who were not quite sure what was going on psychologically, physically, morally speaking. They had no idea what was going on, went to the doctor and found out they were going through menopause. So this is the reason I'm doing this vlog. I've talked to a number of women who are not in, they're either not anywhere near that, or they're not in it, and who have asked me to share my experience so far. Obviously, I'm only 50, I'm not 80, I'm not 90, I'm not 70, so I can't really share the experience of the symptoms. I can't share the experience of what I'm going, of what I've gone through since the beginning, because like, I guess I can say I'm fairly new at this. So, but that's the whole reason that I'm doing the vlog, is if there are any women out there who, for some reason, think that they're going crazy, you're not. If for some reason you don't understand what's going on with your body, trust me, there's a good chance that your hormones have something to do with it. And obviously, if men are watching this vlog and you think, oh my gosh, can she stop talking about it? Move on, go to another vlog. I'm really like, if you're interested in finding out what menopause does to a woman, then keep watching. If you're not interested, go to another one, find a vlog on YouTube that talks about andropause instead of menopause for men. So really, this is what it is. And yeah, so to get back to what I was saying is, the last period that I had was in February 2021, and it was kind of short. And somehow I had a feeling that it might be the last one. So having the feeling that it might be the last one, it didn't change the fact that I kept a record. I still kept a record. I still have, I don't know if you can see it, but at the top of my screen, I have my Google Calendar, which is like the most wonderful tool that I have as a teacher online, and most wonderful tool that I have to keep track of different things. So in my Google Calendar, I kept track of every time I had a period. So when I had my last period in February 2021, I kept a record of different things, but I would say between February 2021, a bit earlier than that, I would say between the spring of 2021, no, between the spring of 2020 and now, I've had symptoms of menopause, even though I was in premenopause at that time. I've had symptoms of menopause that has been quite challenging. So to get into the nitty gritty part of this is a website that I found online to help me with the different symptoms. Okay. I will put the link in the description box if you wish to have access to it. I'm not going to read what it says because I think you can read yourself. But the first part, what you see in the first part of this page, is really the recommendations. And obviously, this is a medical website, medical news today. So, and so far, it's been like my go-to website when it's been my go-to website when I feel like something is off or something is up with my hormones or with my body or with me psychologically. And so the first part of this, what you see on the page here, is really, I would say, what probably the medical profession would suggest or would recommend to do if the symptoms of menopause are intolerable or are difficult to live with. Now, personally, I went to see my doctor I think it was in July. Yeah, I went to see my doctor in July 2021 to figure out what was going on with, well, I knew I had the symptoms of premenopause, but I was wondering if there was something that I could do to alleviate a few of the very difficult symptoms to live with. And obviously, the first thing that my doctor recommended was to be placed on hormonal therapy, which is basically hormonal replacement therapy with estrogen, like hormonal therapy, which is estrogen as a medicine. And I don't remember, I think she recommended that I take estrogen with progesterone or testosterone. But basically the therapy was meant to kind of balance. It was meant to balance, to create estrogen so that it would balance with the testosterone or the progesterone that's still produced by the body. But estrogen, at that point, I was in premenopause, estrogen was slowly decreasing, and progressively my body was not producing estrogen anymore. So in my case, I chose, even though my doctor prescribed hormonal therapy, I chose not to use it. I chose not to use it right away. And I thought, if I can find another way, like another way around it, then, it's still there. I still have the prescription for hormonal therapy in case something big, like something comes up and I just can't stand it anymore. But I chose not to use it, not to do that. So that's what it was, but that's possible. Then this one, vaginal estrogen, quite frankly, I'm not sure what that is. I imagine that it could be some kind of, well, it says it's a lubricant, which can improve lubrication. I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't really care for that one. So, and then there's antidepressants, which apparently can reduce mood-related symptoms that I believe improve hot flashes. I don't know about that, but I was not recommended by my doctor to use antidepressants, and I didn't care for it either. So I once had a burnout. I once had a burnout about 20 years ago. and antidepressants lasted about a year and a half, which I stopped because life was not the same. So obviously here we have a few of the recommendations for during menopause. I'll let you read those. What I chose to do, there were a lot of things in there that, like for example, the first ones, I don't consume that much. And when it comes to caffeine, I don't drink coffee. Spicy foods, I don't eat spicy. So, and alcohol, I drink socially. So it's really this, I didn't feel that this was something that I should pay attention to too much, because it's not something that is part of my regular life. Smoking, I don't smoke, so it wasn't part of it either. Dressing in layers, that is, I will talk about it when we come to that symptom. Then, I mean, the rest, I didn't really, except for exercise. I mean, I'm already a very active person. So for the rest, I'll let you read it, but it didn't really, like, not that it didn't apply to me, but it didn't really, I didn't really look at it. I didn't really pay attention to it. Okay, so here we have a bunch of other, like other, how should I say this? Okay, where in the world? Just give me a moment, because, okay, sorry, that was the end of the page. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up the top so that you can see what it is that I looked at right away. What are the 34 symptoms of menopause? And believe me, when I saw it, I went, oh my gosh, there are 34. And everybody that I've spoken to so far, everybody, when I say everybody, it's every woman. Every woman I've spoken to so far has, their reaction has been the same thing, is, oh my gosh, there are 34 symptoms. So yeah, apparently there are 34 symptoms. Doesn't mean you have them all, but it can help narrow down what you have. So the number one, hot flashes. After my period ended, well, not after my period began to dissipate, I would say hot flashes started probably a year and a half into my premenopause. And hot flashes at that time were not too intolerable, because they happened like every once in a while during the day. I would have, up until about a year and a half ago, I would have about maybe 5 or 6 hot flashes a day. So it wasn't that big of a deal. In the last year and a half, I've had to record I've had to record in my calendar when I've had hot flashes and when I haven't had that much. And sometimes my hot flashes appear intensely, especially when they appear intensely, I would say, when I used to have my PMS and my period. So about like a 2-week span, that's when I have like, and when I say intense hot flashes, I'm not kidding. I can have hot flashes about every 10 minutes. And when I say hot flashes, I will repeat what a vlogger said. Her name is, well, her vlog is According to Taz. And when she began to experience hot flashes, she said that she felt like she was sitting on a fire pit. And that's exactly how it feels. It's exactly how it feels. it feels like you're sitting on a fire pit, or it feels like, which is something that has happened, and we will see in some of the other symptoms. Sometimes, like sometimes I have the hot flashes, and at the same time that I have the hot flashes and I sweat so much that it feels like I just ran for 15 minutes. So, and the sweating lasts about 2 minutes. And when the sweating is done, then, and it feels that the first time, I have to say this, if ever it happens to you, the first times that the hot flashes appeared, about 2.5 years ago, when the first flashes appeared, that was around the time that the pandemic started, or shall we say around the time that the situation started. And the top, at that time, and it's still the same, but at that time, the top, what's it called? The top symptom that we were recommended to pay attention to find out if we had the virus or not was fever. And the first few times that I had hot flashes, it felt exactly like I had a fever, because all of a sudden I became really, really hot and sweaty. And 2 minutes later, I would freeze. It was like I spent 2 minutes in a sauna, and then came out of the sauna and went right in the fridge. So that's exactly how it felt. And so at first I thought maybe I have a fever. The only thing is, when you're sick, and it's like when you have a fever, if you don't do anything to bring the fever down, then your temperature spikes up. It keeps going up. In my case, my temperature didn't change. I took my temperature, I was still like between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius. So my temperature did not change, but every once in a while, I would be like really sweaty all of a sudden and then freeze. The other thing is, on top of hot flashes, which is that, and believe me, you're not going crazy, it is hot flashes. And the description is pretty good. So, but when I entered menopause for real, which meant that I had no more period, sometimes I've had, and it's unfortunately sometimes it's regular, but I've had hot flashes where I've had flashes every 10 minutes. And so every 10 minutes, 2 minutes, like 2 minutes of being very, very hot and sweaty, and 2 minutes where you're cold. It can be a little, I can't say scary, but it can be a little weird. Okay, a little, and you wonder what's going on. The second one is night sweats. Now, night sweats feels the same as hot flashes. The only thing is you're in bed. And one thing that happens with night sweats in bed is not often, you have a lot of covers. And with the night sweat, you throw all the covers off because you can't, it's too hot. And something that happens with the night sweats that they don't talk about here, but something that happens to me with the night sweats, that sometimes also happen with the hot flashes, and we'll see in the symptoms. Maybe it's after, no, okay. So sometimes something that happens with the hot flashes and the night sweats is the ear. I think we have it down here. It's a irregular heartbeat or something like that, or you're kind of out of breath. And I mean, some of them actually intertwine. So irregular heartbeat. Okay, that's number 29. So when you have night sweats and you have hot flashes, you also experience an irregular heartbeat, which means that in my case, when I have hot flashes or night sweats and I have an irregular heartbeat, I have trouble breathing on top of it. So, and it has happened to me like many times that I would, in the middle of the night, I would get really, really hot, night sweat. I would get really, really hot. I would have trouble breathing. My heart would beat irregularly, and to the point that I had to get up, either sit up in my bed and try to catch my breath, or I would get up completely and try to stand up just to catch my breath, or have to go outside to get a breath of fresh air to get sun, because I couldn't catch my breath. So that is something that does happen. And obviously it completely disturbs your sleep, because night sweats can happen 3-4 times a night, and you wake up every time. And if you don't wake up, if you're lucky and you're a sound sleeper, if you don't wake up, it still disturbs your sleep, because you have to throw the covers off. And the thing is, the night sweats don't last an hour. You're not hot for an hour, you're hot for about 2 minutes. So once the night sweat is gone, guess what? Because you sweat like profusely, you're hot, then you freeze. And so automatically, as you're asleep, then the first thing that you think of doing is putting the covers back on. Now the covers are folded in half, I don't know, and they're, you get it can be a little messy to put them back on your body as you're asleep. So it is something that does happen. And often it can also disturb the sleep if you have a partner and you sleep with someone. It can disturb the sleep of the other person, because you literally kick the covers off. So if the other person is also covered by those covers, then they get uncovered automatically. So but you kick the covers off and then you put them back on, and you might just like take all the covers. That's also possible, because remember, you're half asleep in the middle of the night. During the day, I would say that sometimes it happens to me when I'm online and I teach. And I really, what I do, like I've come to be able to control it to some extent by simply breathing in deeply. And so if I'm in the middle of explaining something to my students, and I have that hot flush and my irregular heartbeat and everything, my students know. I've been really open with my students, and I've told them that if like I'm going through menopause and there are times when I have like huge hot flushes, I try as much as possible to bring it to my students in a funny way, so that I de-dramatize it. And so, but I've told my students, I said, if I'm explaining something and all of a sudden I have an irregular heartbeat, I can't breathe, I said, I'm going to take a few seconds just to try and relax and try to breathe in and take deep breaths so that I can control that. So irregular periods that happen during my premenopause, it happened in the beginning. I talked about it. Mood changes. This one, mood changes, I would say it feels a bit like you're right smack back into your teenage years. And 1 minute you want to cry, the next you want to laugh. You can, I don't know, somebody can say something and out of nowhere you begin to cry. But at the same time, something else can happen, something that would normally not make you laugh, and you just get in fits of giggles. and you start laughing and you can't stop. So it is something that can happen. And before my menopause, before premenopause, you know, as a woman, we do have mood swings, but nowhere near as what you experience in menopause. I'm a teacher, and I can tell you that I'm very, 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 very patient, very tolerant. And there are moments when I have to pay attention to my mood, because as a teacher, and I teach languages, so as a teacher, I totally understand, and I'm patient in that sense. I totally understand that my students may not know a certain word, may not know how to conjugate a certain verb or whatnot, and or may not understand a word in a sentence or something. And I have to really pay attention to my mood, because 1 minute I can be very tolerant, very patient, and all of a sudden become very irritated by the person's voice, become very irritated by the behavior, which is like would be a normal behavior. Somebody saying, okay, how do you say this word? And I have to remind myself, okay, if you want this student to look up the word in the dictionary, find the regular way to ask the student to find the word in the dictionary, and not just bite their head off. So that is the mood changes. And from having talked to several women about mood changes, it seems like being irritated by anything that normally you would not get irritated by, or being sad or weepy or angry, whatnot. It's something that happens to a lot of women. A lot of women go through these changes and the mood changes. And from what I understand, from what some women have told me, their family, their husbands, or their children will also notice the mood changes. And like one of my students said, the best way she found is when she notices that she has mood changes, she makes sure that she stays away from the rest of the family, because she knows that she's going to blow up at anything. So that's the mood changes. Breast soreness, I have to admit, I have not felt. I've not had so far. I've not had that symptom. I know that when I had my period, and regular period, not in premenopause, but regular period, I remember that in my PMS, I would have that symptom, but I have not had it since premenopause or menopause. So, but it is a possible one. Decreased libido. I have to say, yeah. And I remember when my libido started going down, when it went south, and it went all the way maybe to -40. Decreased libido, I thought that one thing that happens psychologically, and I've seen it in other websites. One thing that happens psychologically with decreased libido is a woman might begin to feel undesirable. And automatically, I would say a woman who has that symptom and is with a partner, the partner may feel the effect of the decreased libido, because they're not experiencing decreased libido. And at that time, when I was experiencing that, I was wondering if, first of all, psychologically, I began to feel like I was becoming useless, as in, and psychologically it does happen, that you begin to feel psychologically useless because you can't bear any children anymore. That's the first sign that, forget, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can't have any more children. It's impossible anymore. So, and also because not having libido, you don't really think about it anymore, and your partner may think about it a lot more because they begin to see the I guess the sexual relationship distance itself, or the times of sexual intercourse being distant in between, far and few in between. So at that time, when I began to notice that my libido was going south, I found a report on YouTube from 60 Minutes Australia, where, if I remember correctly, they interviewed 5 women with their partner, and they asked whether like, would it happen with the libido? And the partners, the reaction of the partners was absolutely priceless, as in, you know what, if her libido is okay now, if she's in the mood now, we stop the interview, and we stop the interview for some time, and we come back to it. So it is something. I'll put the link in the description if I don't get any problems with YouTube, or maybe I could put, instead of putting the link, I can put the title of the report from 60 Minutes Australia. But I thought it was hilarious. It was really interesting. So to move on to the next one, vaginal dryness. This one, I can honestly say, apparently nothing changed. So apparently nothing changed in that sense. I wouldn't be able to tell because I don't really penetrate myself. So, but apparently nothing much had changed in terms of the dryness. In terms of, I guess, the natural lubrication, I don't know. When it comes to headaches, I would say that in menopause, if you pay attention to your diet, if you pay attention to what you eat, which is something that I think, considering the time that I've taken so far in this video, I might make another video about the nutrition with the diet that I've followed for menopause. But headaches, I would say, if you pay attention to what you eat, or if you pay attention to your diet, headaches are a direct result of inflammation in the digestive system. So if you pay attention to what you eat, or you're careful with what you eat, then headaches will come far and few in between, if not disappear at all. Okay. In my case, headaches, I had them at the beginning of, I had them for the first 2 years of my perimenopause. But since menopause, I think I've had it twice. And it's just because I hadn't really made the correlation. I hadn't really made the connection between being, I guess, in my cycle of craving chocolate, which would be, from keeping record of it, monitoring it, would be during my PMS, because I believe we still have a cycle. It's just that we don't have the bleeding proof of it. But in my PMS, I tend to have cravings for chocolate chips, chips, popcorn, or whatever, for junk food. And being aware of craving those foods during that week, then I try to stay as clear from it as possible. And automatically it has decreased the headaches and the migraines. Tingling extremities. Up till now, I don't think I've experienced it. It doesn't mean that I won't. But so far, I don't think I have experienced this. Burning mouth, I can say I have not. I have not experienced this at all. But it's not because I didn't experience it that you don't. Then changes in tastes. There are flavors and foods so far that I know. I used to love eating cucumbers. For some reason in the past year or since last summer, I don't care for cucumbers that much anymore, but I love tomatoes. I used to like tomatoes. I love tomatoes. And I love sweet and salty flavors, which wasn't the case before. So again, changes in taste. It can be that there were flavors you loved before and you don't care much for anymore. Before my menopause, I wasn't too crazy about avocados. And now I eat an avocado a day. Could also be that and again, I'll put that in another video, but it could also be that avocados contain magnesium and they contain omega-3s, which omega-3, which is something that is something that a lot of women in menopause lack during menopause. So changes in taste, then fatigue. That is something that is really, I mean, obviously, when you have a night sweats, you don't sleep that well. And there are periods in the month where I will need to go to sleep around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I will have trouble waking up the next day for 7:30, 8 o'clock. And there are other times during the month that I can't fall asleep before 11 or 12, and I will wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. And whether I sleep 10, 12 hours or I sleep 4 or 6 hours, there are nights, even if I sleep 10, 12 hours, I wake up and I'm dead on my feet. I'm absolutely asleep. I could sleep like for a lot longer. So that's what it is for the fatigue. It is something that happens, and there are days when I have a regular work day of sometimes 6 hours, sometimes 8 hours. And there are days where I have to, I will teach like a 3-hour class. And after that, I really have to lay down and relax for 30 minutes before I do anything else. So this is for the fatigue. What I think I'm gonna do, because I'm looking at the time now and it's already been an hour like this. I think I'm gonna split this. I'm gonna split this segment into 3 videos so that we get through the 34 symptoms. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it here at number 12 for you guys. And I will post another video. I will post another video for 13 to, let's say 13 to 23. And then I'll post another video for 23 to 34. So stay tuned. In the meantime, if you want to go see if you want to take a look at this website, I will post it. I'll post a reference in the description box below. And I will also put the title I also put the title of the report that I watched on YouTube on this 60 Minutes Australia about that lady who did not that lady, but about those ladies who were interviewed with their symptoms of menopause. All right, so on that note, stay tuned for the next video that's coming up soon. A lot of information is featured in the description box. If you do not find your answer there, please feel free to comment. A little reminder, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to expand the audience for others who might be interested in this content. And on that note, I will see you next time.